Hi folks, it's Andy. Welcome to today's Kendo rant. As you can see, I'm testing out a bit of a new setup today. I'm going for a bit more of a sort of studio look. We'll see how it works out. It's a whole new setup, both with the lighting, with everything that's going on here, with the camera and everything. So, like, if most of this video is out of focus, I'm really sorry. Right, with that being said, let's jump into the questions. I printed them out, and let's get stuck in. Okay. Andy, what can you do to make men himo last longer? I change mine twice a year and don't train more than 3 times a week, plus the odd seminar and tournament. Okay, so you're training like 2 to 3 times a week and the odd seminar and tournament, and you're changing your men himo twice a year. Well, first off, it's a bit hard to say. Obviously, it depends on what kind of practice you're doing those sort of 2 to 3 times a week. But actually, if you are practicing sort of nearer to the 3 times a week, twice a year isn't that much, especially if you're using the cheapest men himo, which are a little bit thinner. If you pay a bit more for the sort of deluxe men himo, you'll tend to find they're a bit thicker and they do tend to last longer, though they're a little bit harder to tie up. To be honest, if you're training sort of 3 times a week, then yeah, I mean, it's even worth considering whether, you know, obviously it depends on the sort of budget you got, sort of, and what have you. But yeah, it's probably worth investing in the best quality men himo that you can, and even consider having another men actually, so you can swap between your men between practices, because obviously then you'll get a longer life out of the men itself as well. Just like with the kote, there's certain parts of your kendo equipment that if you are training reasonably regularly, certainly more than 2 or 3 times a week, then you do need to really realistically have to have more than one of. Obviously, a shinai being one of them. But, you know, another pair of kote is definitely worth having if you're training several times a week, or even another men, or a spare borg set even. Obviously, uniforms as well, hakama and kendogi, you don't want to be wearing the same one 3 times a week, or you'll wear it out very quickly. So that's worth bearing in mind as well. I'm not just saying that because I run KendoStar. Realistically, in order to get the best life out of your equipment, if you are using it that often, then yeah, you do need to be rotating it. So think about that as well. Okay. Next one. What are your thoughts on this double hand sucker given in the linked video at 45 seconds? I can see it's pretty messy subazeri, but to give a hand sucker that quickly seems really strict. Maybe it's because this is the final, so the head judge wants to get a point across early in the team match. Okay, so I did go and watch the video that you linked to. Thank you for that. I actually know that tournament. I've actually been to it, because it's not far from where I used to live. It's a high school tournament, so they are very, very strict on the rules for subazeri. If I'm right in thinking that in that sort of shiai, they're only allowed 10 seconds in subazeri before they are awarded a hand sucker. But there's no stopwatch or anything like that, so the shimpan has to count that themselves. So it looks to me like the shimpan was probably counting that 10 seconds, and he might have given it out a little bit earlier than 10 seconds if I sort of count along with it. But it's hard to say. Yeah, it does seem quite strict, but they are very, very strict on the subazeri rules for high school students. When you do watch that video, neither of the participants, basically, if you haven't seen the video, it should be linked in the comments at the last video. But basically, one of the students goes to hit kote, and then this straight from the hajime, from the start of the shiai. One goes to hit kote, doesn't hit, and then they're straight into tsubazeri, of course. But it's not really tsubazeri. They're kind of wrestling with each other, trying to get to tsubazeri. Well, I don't know if it's fair to say they're trying to get to subazeri, because I think that might be part of it as well. They're kind of pushing against each other. They aren't in subazeri. Subazeri is when the tsuba and the tsuba are locked together. And it does look a little bit like neither of them are trying to actively get to tsubazeri either, which in itself can be considered enough to give a penalty or hand sucker. So that's probably part of it as well. So that's my kind of speculation on that. But of course, I don't know. So the only person that knows that is the guy that actually did the shimpan. Next one. Is it right or wrong to buy an expensive kendogu when I'm not a high level? I am Sandan right now, and I bought a set of expensive borgu as a gift to myself, and I get pressured not to wear it. In my Kendo community, senpai and sensei always say something negative when I buy a new piece of Kendoga. I never boast my Kendoga around anyone, but there seems to be this stigma that it's rude to wear something nice around high-ranking sensei senpai. No, first off, no. It's not wrong to buy an expensive Kendoga or a Borgo, a set of armour. It's absolutely not wrong to do that. It's your money. You're absolutely entitled to do so. I expect, reading this, that you're probably not practicing in Japan, because in Japan I've never seen this sort of behaviour. It's something that I've only ever experienced outside of Japan. Most people in Japan, even when they start Kendo, if they're adult, if they start at Kendo as adults, many of them will spend quite a lot of money on their first Borgo, even buy a hand-stitched Borgo. And people don't judge you for the kind of how expensive your Borgo is or something like that. You're not supposed to do that in Kendo. So if you're somebody that does that, if you're the sort of person that kind of judges other people or says, oh, you're not good enough to wear expensive Borgo, you're not good enough to wear a Samedo or whatever, don't be a rich boy show off, as they used to say. If you're the sort of person that's saying that, then you should stop, because that isn't cool. It's not a nice way to behave. You don't have the right to tell somebody what they can spend the money on. So no, I'm very sorry to hear you're in that situation. You shouldn't be in that situation, and I don't think it's fair of the people around you in your community to kind of put pressure on you not to wear the Borgo or the items that you want to wear, that you've paid your own money for. Your Borgo, your equipment, the quality of it and the appearance of it is not related to your ability or your skill level. We don't have those sort of indicators in Kendo. So to suggest that somebody shouldn't wear a specific level or quality of item until they get to a specific level is absolutely ridiculous. And who sets the mark? Who sets the limit on that? Okay, you're not allowed to wear hand stitched Borgo until you get to what? 5th dan? 7th dan, 8th dan? When are you allowed to wear a cotton hakama, or when are you allowed to use an expensive shinai? I mean, it's just nonsense. If you're the sort of person that's putting that sort of pressure on people, then you really need to stop it, because it's so not cool, and it's not how it's supposed to be. Like I say, I've never ever seen that in Japan. I've seen people of all different levels wearing all sorts of different types of equipment. Obviously, there's a reason why people that have got more experience tend to invest more in their equipment. It's simply because they're already invested time-wise into Kendo. Obviously, if you're just starting out in Kendo, you're just a beginner, then going out and spending $2,000, $3,000 on a top quality hand-stitched Borgo with a bamboo door and something like that isn't necessary. Yeah, because it's better for you. You don't really know at that point how long you're going to be with Kendo, especially outside of Japan, where most people get into Kendo without really knowing very much about it. But if you're you said you're 3rd dan, then, no one's got, you shouldn't be being told what you can and can't wear. Anyway, I'll turn that into a real rant. So, yeah, that's where I stand on that. Okay, next question. I'm not sure if this is a troll question or a real one, but we're going to answer it like it's a real one. Hi, Andy. Is it possible to practice Kendo while you have a mechanical arm or leg? Or if you're a mute? Yeah, it's totally possible. I've known and seen several people that have, got such issues, especially sort of prosthetic arms or legs. And not so much legs, but I do know people that have sort of got missing limbs, not just arms, but legs and stuff, that have had perfectly successful Kendo careers. It all really comes down to your own determination, as well as the obviously the community that you're practicing. But in my opinion, no instructor should be turning you away on that basis. And if you're mute, obviously Kendo is a vocal martial art. We have the sort of criteria. We do a lot of shouting in Kendo, but it's not actually a solid criteria of Yuko Datotsu to necessarily, it does actually say hase, which does mean a vocalization, but still, there's no reason why anyone should say that somebody that literally has an inability to talk shouldn't be allowed to practice Kendo or can't practice Kendo. Obviously, concessions would have to be made in that situation. So yeah, my stance is that Kendo's for everybody that wants to have Kendo. So yeah, I think it is possible. Next. Hey Andy, what do you think about working out in the gym for Kendo? I understand that Kendo is an explosive and anaerobic activity, but running 100 meters or distance jumping are as well. And the athletes are very muscular. Moreover, lately I saw a video of Nishimura where he shows huge calves, so I guess they support their Kendo in the gym. Yeah, I mean, obviously the top level Japanese players from the Japanese national team, what have you, yeah, they absolutely do supplement their training, their Kendo training with working out in the gym and stuff like that. So there are lots of competitive kendoka. I myself did so actually when I was competing actively. I was also supplementing that with working out. I think stuff like running, those sort of, especially like the sort of cardiovascular stuff is really quite good. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a personal trainer, and I certainly wouldn't go down the route of advising anyone what they should do in terms of working out as a benefit to Kendo. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's an option that's worth exploring for people who are serious about competition and want to improve in that way. Absolutely. And yeah, Nishimura-san has got massive calves. They're like as big as my head. Right, next one. I had a question. Does anyone know of any good resources on kiai? Specifically, I've noticed that some players yell specific target they're striking, and others, brackets more experienced players, are yelling something else. Are there specific guidelines during practice or shiai? Okay, so when you talk about kiai, obviously you're talking about the shouting. The word kiai actually has several meanings, but I can tell from the context of this, we're talking about shouting. Yeah, basically, we often talk about, and most of us learn Kendo, that we shout the target that we're attacking as we attack it. That's the way it's done in Japan. That's the way it's generally done around the world. The actual rules for Kendo, the actual kind of criteria for Yuko Daitotsu do not specifically state that you have to shout the name of the target. So that's why sometimes you hear people shout something that doesn't necessarily sound like that. Most people, though, still do shout the name of the target. It's just that it tends to get a little bit... how can I say, it kind of transforms a little bit when you start, when your adrenaline's going and you're kind of fighting, really. So yeah, I mean, it might not sound like a really obvious audible kind of man or kote, but most practitioners do make a sound that kind of somehow is related to or links back to that. Having said that, obviously one of the things that is clear in the criteria of Yuko Daitotsu, a valid strike, is that you have to show that you intended to make the strike. So, you can't accidentally hit. In fact, in the Shimpan Tebiki, which is like the additional notes for it, it does say, the additional notes for the rule book, that is, it does actually say in there, I think there's a little questions and answer bit at the end of it, and one of the questions is, like, if the red player or something attacks for men, and the white player puts their hands up and instead the red player hits the kote instead of the men, does that count? And the answer is no, it doesn't, because you have to have intended to hit the target that you're striking. So for that reason, I think that's where a lot of us use that idea of saying men or kote. So if you hit the men and shout kote, then yeah, you don't get a point. But I think as well, it comes down to the way that Kendo is taught, especially as it's taught to children mainly. Children make up the majority of the beginners, especially in Japan. So for them, it's easier to teach them, okay, this is man, this is kote, this is do, and that's why they shout that as they sort of make those attacks, and that's why they're taught to do so. Okay, it's the last one. The last one and this one are both from the Kendo Show Early Access group, by the way. There's a link down there in the description. It's a great group. It's obviously free to join. It's on Facebook. So yeah, click on that link. Join the group if you're not in it already, because it's a great place to post your questions. There's loads of other Kendoka in there from all over the world, all different experiences. So not only do you get to put your question in there, and obviously I'll do my best to answer it in these videos, but you get loads of responses and stuff from loads of different Kendoka. So it's a really great forum for discussion discussion as well. So definitely get in that group if you haven't already. Okay, last question. This one says, I was at a Jodan seminar a few months ago and someone mentioned Gyaku Jodan. I looked it up, but all I could find was very old videos. Is it something that's practiced? What are your thoughts on this? Okay, so Gyaku Jodan, basically that means any kind of Jodan where you would have your hands over your head with the right hand at the bottom of the tsuka, so with your right hand forward, instead of normally you would have the left hand. Gyaku means reverse, so it's the reverse Jodan. And yeah, it's very, very, very rare. I have seen it before, maybe just once or twice, usually with people that had a medical reason for doing it. Perhaps they were sort of missing a limb, missing the left hand or arm or something like that, or couldn't use it for whatever reason. But I have seen it in a few rare instances where people have used it kind of against normal Jodan. But again, it's very, very rare, and it was by people who were very, very experienced. So yeah, I wouldn't expect that to be a common sight at all. Yeah, it's certainly not commonly practiced. So yeah, it doesn't have any super advantages over regular Jodan either, from my understanding. So yeah, I'd kind of stick with regular Jodan if you're interested in Jodan. But yeah, hope that makes sense. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you like the sort of new setup. It's a bit different, of course. These lights are much brighter. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, I'll have a look how it gets into the computer. Maybe I'm all blurred and out of focus. Don't know. Normally I just get my phone and point it at my face, and that's how I normally record these videos. So if this takes me like 2 hours to edit, then probably I'll be going back to the other format. But we'll see. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Don't forget as well, that's what the comment section is there for. Let me know, not just about that, but let me know what you'd like me to rant about next time. There's a link to the Kendo Show Early Access group. That's a great free group to join on Facebook. Obviously, you can post your questions there, and that's where I'll be able to see them, and that's where I'll be able to answer them, obviously, for this video. But not just that, there's loads of Kendoka in there from all over the world. So you get loads of responses, not just from me, but from people all over the world, from all different kind of areas of Kendo, all different experience and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a bit of a discussion forum, really. I think it's really cool how it's sort of developed into that. So definitely join that if you're not in it. Don't forget as well, KendoStar.com is the equipment website that I run. It's all top quality equipment, specifically designed for the international market. It's great gear. Everyone that shops there loves it. And if you haven't given us a try yet, then what are you doing? Get to KendoStar.com. We've got holiday sale on as well, and it ends tomorrow. That's the 28th of December. So yeah, don't forget to check that out. Finally, yeah, I don't think I'm going to get another video up tomorrow. And maybe not until the new year now, actually. So if I don't get to say so beforehand, I do wish you all the very best for 2019. I would like to say a very, very big thank you to everybody, of course, that's supported my activities both here on the Kendo Show and with KendoStar. It really wouldn't have been possible without each and every one of you. Thank you so very much. I can't really say any more than that. I really don't have words to describe the sort of gratitude that I do have, and I really do genuinely feel that. So yeah, thank you very, very much. Other than that, I'll see you all next time, and once again, thank you very much for watching.